What's up, everyone? It's Jay Ray, the co-host of Q Points, and one really important way that you can support our show is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. One of those places where you can subscribe, and we highly encourage it, is on Apple Podcasts. If you visit qpnt.net/Apple Podcasts. You could subscribe to the show and listen to all of the episodes. And please leave us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points, and leave us a review. We really want to hear from you, and it helps to spread the word about the show. It's that simple. Thanks so much for tuning into Q Points, and thank you so much for supporting us. Have a great one.
Yeah, look, I'm doing the J Ray body roll
right
every time.
I'm gonna do that. So if y'all see me out dancing, I'm gonna do that.
Mind your business. J Ray is doing his body roll. That's it. Mind your business. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Q Points. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
I am J Ray, and also known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III.
J Ray, you got some news for the party people. Hit them with it.
Let me tell y'all something. Do you see how excited we are? Because y'all,
I'm super excited.
This is what happened. We just hit 100 likes on Facebook.
Hey!
And we got a sound effect and everything.
Look, sound effect. We have a live studio audience. What are you talking about?
Listen, yes, you can't see them behind this wall. Sir Daniel, how does this feel?
It feels awesome. I'm not surprised because we put in the work. Great production on your side, absolutely. You know, I do my thing when it comes to content.
Yes,
so
you
I think
do.
The combination works. It is what it is. We want those numbers to keep going up.
Yes.
So please share this show wherever you go. So we're on Instagram at Q
Points.
Show.
No, we're Q Points on IG, and on Twitter we're at Q Show, and
at
you
Q
are
Show.
and here on Facebook we are at Q Show too, or you just look us up on Q Points. We here.
Or look at the screen because it's right there in front of you. If you're following us, you need to go ahead and follow us on those platforms as well. So it's been a really good past few days since we last talked. Record Store Day was awesome.
Oh, so
had
much
an awesome
fun.
day. I loved your content regarding your Record Store Day finds. The people have been eating up that content as well. So, hey, we're plugged in. We are plugged in.
Listen, though, can you share with the audience because you did stuff. You was out like doing a thing and had a really good weekend. So talk to us about what you did.
We did the Wax Fundamentals crew. We went to Lamont's Firearms and Supply Store in Flowery Branch here in Georgia. And we basically did what we do as Wax Fundamentals. We put on some dope vinyl sets. Like we spin vinyl, the old school stuff. And there's no sync buttons, nothing. It's just strictly skills. And we had a special guest. We had DJ JC in the building.
Big deal.
That's a major deal. JC is a huge, he's a legend here out in these ATL streets and beyond because he has mixes all over the world playing on the internet. You can catch him on Twitch every day for his In Effect Mode show. But he came and showed out.
I love it.
His set, in a word, was supersonic. It was supersonic. That's all I can say. And speaking of supersonic, I'd like to give a shout out to the ladies of JJ Fad. Monday, June 14th, marked the 33rd anniversary of their album release, Supersonic, the album. Can you believe this?
They deserve it.
They deserve it. Can you believe it's been 33 years of
wow
of West Coast royalty? Like, this is like probably the first and only major rap group, female rap group, and I hate using the word female, so excuse me, y'all.
Right.
Women rap group that has come out from the West Coast.
Yep.
They broke all kinds of barriers. You know, Supersonic was the lead single. It went gold and eventually went platinum. Then they dropped the whole album, which I have to say, I've sat with this album for 33 years. Mm-hmm. This is a dope album. A lot of people like to say what they want about JJ Fad, and they were pop and they were corny, but this is a very solid album. Like, on the A side, you get bass, electro funk, pop.
That's hot.
Then on the B side, you have your street jams, your hip hop party jams, and scathing diss records. Like, they were no joke on the mic. They had Dr. Dre behind them. I mean, this album, literally, if it was not for this album, you would not have Niggas with an Attitude. Mm-hmm. You would not have Easy Does It. You would not have any of that stuff. Wow. You wouldn't even have the Straight Outta Compton movie if it were not for this album putting Ruthless Records on the spot, putting them on a worldwide map. And even the album cover, mm-hmm. like, look at all these bright colors. Yep. You know, the Nike. First of all, I would rock these Nike volleyball jerseys today. If you could find these, I'm pretty certain these cost a pretty penny.
Yes.
But album covers weren't this bright and colorful.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
Until you had this influence from MCJB, Sassy C, and Baby D. You know? So
congratulations to JJ Fad.
Shout out to them. But J-Ray, I gotta ask you a question.
Yes.
So the song, of course, that put them on the map was Supersonic, right?
Yes.
So this is the original 12-inch cover for Supersonic.
Right. And what's funny about this cover is when you compare it to what you just showed us, this is more like what we were used to.
Exactly.
In terms of hip hop
on the East Coast. Yep. Exactly. Now, but what you didn't know is that there were 5 members.
I guess the other girls felt like they should be making more money.
Yes.
But people in the group,
exactly.
The money is not pouring in. There's no hit singles yet.
Right.
So they left for money reasons, basically?
Correct.
Ooh, they probably regret
to
this day.
Sure.
Did you ever run into them, like, later on in life?
I do. I'm still friends with them.
Really?
Yes, I am.
Are they at all bitter over the situation, or?
Not bitter. But it's cordial. I mean, it was their decision. You know. You know, you can't be mad at something like, okay, I didn't want to be in the group no more. You know, so we are definitely still cool.
And they're probably happy because they are writers on Supersonic. So every time they use our song for something, they get paid.
Aha.
Yes. So yeah. So I'm sure that they're happy in that aspect.
Listen, 5 members, they left and they became a super trio.
Yeah. Wow. So what's interesting is when you think about, you know, what's coming up for me, like Oaktown's 357 is coming up for me, who had 4 members and then went down to a duo. I think 702.
It was 3.
Yeah, it was, and then it was 3, and then it was 2.
And then it went to 2. Mm-hmm.
Nuts.
Then you have 702.
702, who was a 4, and then went down to 3. Like, it's interesting when you think of the beginning of so many of these groups and how, as they're getting on, how these groups evolve. So that I did not know that.
And so that actually led me to, it just set me on a journey. Like, all these things just kept popping up. So I finally sat down and watched my recording of BET's presents the Encore. So now the Encore, and I was like, I called J-Ray up. I was like, J-Ray, please, you got to watch this and we got to talk about it. I got so many feelings about this. If for those of you who haven't tuned in yet, BET presents the Encore. The premise of this reality show is to invite former members of girl groups to live in a mansion and to form a super group to create music together and perform said music together.
Yes.
Sounds like a recipe for disaster, doesn't it?
It sounds and feels like, when you watch the first episode, like a recipe for disaster. What I also found interesting is, yes, it's like all of these members. First of all, it's 9 people total,
Which is crazy.
And then you have one solo act. So Nivea's there. And I was like, I don't even know how this happened.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting thing.
And the funny thing is that Nivea appears to be the most grounded,
yes,
and the most flexible out of all the participants. We got Pam from Total,
yes,
Keely from 3LW and Cheetah Girls fame. Oh,
yes,
and of course Kentucky Fried Chicken fame.
Yes.
Aubrey O'Day. I don't think you caught that about the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I did.
You want me to throw a piece of chicken at you? Let me stop. Aubrey O'Day from Danny B. Kane, as you mentioned, 702, Cherish, and more. And it's like you have all these acts all spanning from different decades, all had various levels of success, and the majority of the bands are now defunct due to various reasons, which makes me wonder, are we, the public, are we responsible for the reason why girl groups don't succeed? I mean, the media, managers, producers, the public. Why aren't our Black girl groups surviving?
This is such an important topic. So to put this in perspective, when I think about what we do here at Q Points, for me, girl groups, and we're using this term, it's a popular term, girl groups, so it's not, I feel like it's one of those terms that we also have to analyze at some point, because these are women, right? They may start as girls, but then they typically grow to women as they're in these groups, but they still call them girl groups. And so I think we have to look at that, but that's not what we're talking about here. I think what this girl groups, for me, typically are some of the most creatively interesting groups, because women have the ability to have different molds when they show up in their music, which sometimes makes the work more compelling, when I tend to find that guy groups or boy bands tend to be one-dimensional. And so I am so glad we're asking this question, because I would love to have more girl groups.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, right now, who do we have? We got the City Girls.
That's it, right?
I think that's...
I literally think that's it.
I can't think of any R&B girl groups that are like mainstream at this time.
Nope.
Right off the top of my... And, you know, there's a crowd of people that support R&B that say, oh, the real R&B is still out there. Oh, okay. They'd be mad at us if we forgot about Chloe and Halle.
But Chloe and Halle. And here's what's funny about those two. Like, these are both duos, right?
Right.
So,
and they're sisters.
And they're sisters. So it's like a different thing. We're talking about... we just don't. They're the only two that I know of, and that's nuts. Was Saint. Oh, I'm gonna. Their name is escaping me.
Saint
that was
Beauty.
Saint Beauty from Atlanta. Duo,
and again, another duo, which is fine. But we're talking about. You know, and we'll talk about this later some more, but there is magic in the number of 3, you know? Yes. If you think about the most popular girl groups of all time, let's take it back. Let's take it back to the girl group that just exploded and changed everything. Let's talk about the Supremes.
The OGs.
No, wait, let me correct myself. Are we talking about the Supremes or are we talking about Diana Ross and the Supremes? Because, you know, some distinctions were made.
And I think that as we dive into this conversation, I think it's when those distinctions start to have to be made by men that we begin to have the cracks that begin to show up in these groups. So yes, we're talking about the Supremes. It's funny, I don't even say Diana Ross and the Supremes. Like, I definitely will just say the Supremes because it's weird to say, but after Diana left that group, yes, the Supremes continued on. But the Supremes were Diana and Mary and Florence, and then I think Cindy Birdsong. So that's like, yeah, so that's kind of like the nucleus of it. And look at all the stuff that happened. You had the group go from the Supremes to Diana Ross and the Supremes. Oh, and another note, the Supremes as well started out as a group of 4. When they were the Primettes, there was 4 of them, and they also went down to a trio.
And so, but they were the blueprint, like, you know, for modern music, they were the blueprint as far as the way of dressing women uniformly.
Yes.
Choreography, even if it just meant snapping your fingers in a uniform way.
Yep.
You know, all of that stuff meant something.
Yep.
And then let's even take it further to the fact they were one of the first black girl groups to be on television.
Yes.
If you talk to anybody that grew up in that time where the who is it, Ed Sullivan, when the Ed Sullivan show was on, and those 3 black girls showed up on the television screen, that changed the world for Black America. So they mean a whole lot more beyond the music, right?
Yes.
So, but I think, and this is just me thinking out loud, I think that we're not happy as a society until we tear down and destroy something that we love. And we'll take the Supremes, for instance. The Supremes, you know, it's been widely known that the Supremes are the basis and loosely based for the stage play Dreamgirls, right?
Yes.
The production won 6 Tony Awards. The movie that came out in 2006 earned Jennifer Hudson a Tony. A story that is etched in the brain of America. It's about a girl group, and we can't get enough of it because there's drama.
There's so much drama. Right, the scene that we just watched. Right, oh my God.
It's like the boiling point of drama in the show when Effie finds out that she's been replaced as the lead singer, and they brought in another girl so that they could still remain a trio.
Yep. Man, I hear where you going with this. We proved time and time again. Let's go back to the encore. The reason why the encore had to be made is because we like seeing this type of drama play out on TV. Absolutely. And you know for a fact that behind the scenes, these producers are doing all types of stuff to make sure that the pot gets stirred just the right way. Because let me tell you something, what I know about what my experience is with people is that when you enter a space that has that many different personalities, there's a way that you show up. You know what I'm saying? And it's not the way that what we saw on TV, the way people show up, you know? So we like drama, and we like that.
We love it. Look, they got Pam from Total, who is now a born-again Christian.
Yes.
So you have that. Then you have Keely, like I said, from 3LW and Cheetah Girls, who is for lack of a better term, a villain on these internet streets because of, you know, the fable of her throwing chicken at Notori Horton, who used to be in the group and left after that incident. And and she's there to stir the pot herself.
Yep.
because she's claiming she doesn't want to be in the group. She wants to be a creative director.
She wants to be a creative director. I'm like,
what? I'm like, come on, y'all. I know the producers told you to say
they
that.
Guessed. They literally was like, no, you can come in and say that you're the creative director or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay.
And with a straight face, like, I'm the creative director. And then you have Aubrey O'Day, who is the only white woman in this mix. And she, of course, she's already a strong personality because she went head up with Diddy.
Yep.
Which is her claim to fame. Mm-hmm. And now she's here trying to lay down some laws too. But it's, back to Dreamgirls real quick. So by the time Dreamgirls hit the theaters, and that was what, 2006?
2006, yes.
So by that time, Beyonce was at the height of her superpowers.
Yes.
As a solo artist, she was untouchable. Mm-hmm. This was just taking her to another level.
Yep.
But to this day, she cannot escape that one moment in time in the early 2000s when you couldn't even turn on MTV's TRL without them talking about the overnight roster changes that happened with Destiny's Child.
Absolutely not. It's another example of... So you have these 4 members, right? Mm-hmm. 2, their first record, their second record was out of here. And meanwhile, they were ascending when the change happened. This is single 3 or 4 from the record. There's literally a roster change where 2 of the members are replaced by 2 completely different people. The cover of the record had 4 people. By the time, what was it, Say My Name came out, it was some 2 new girls that we had never seen before. But once again, you have this situation where it's been reported. You have these 2 members. We're talking about LaToya and Latavia, who wanted to break free from the Matthew Knowles management. So we have, once again, a man in control, wants to break free from the management and do something else. And it's like, no, this thing going to stay the way this thing is going to stay. And we're going to figure it out this way. And once again, Beyonce is put... So Diana Ross went to the Supremes, right? Diana Ross is put in this position where she has to bear the brunt of Diana Ross and the Supremes. Berry Gordy made that change. It wasn't. Diana Ross didn't roll up in the studio as we called Diana Ross and the Supremes now. No, that was a change. And we go to Destiny's Child and Beyonce is vilified. But this was literally a business decision that was bigger than she was at that point.
Absolutely. It was like you said, Beyonce was vilified. Her father was demonized. They were just the devil reincarnated right then and there,
Yep.
They were, however, that drama catapulted them even further. They became pop culture icons overnight. They were made sketches on SNL. Yep. One of my favorite sketches on SNL is the Gemini's twin sketch featuring Maya Rudolph and Anna Gasteyer. Mm-hmm. And what I loved about Destiny's Child and I loved about the trio that's behind me right there, the trio, is that those girls were able to laugh at themselves, and they actually showed up on that episode and made fun of themselves, which I think was perfect. It was perfect, and it just solidified them as the superstars that they were. And to this day, people are still hungry for a Destiny's Child reunion.
Absolutely. If Beyonce, Kelly, and Michelle said we going out on tour, that's a wrap. First of all, them tickets is already sold. We probably can't get one unless y'all Q points. Y'all gonna hook me and Sir Daniel up so we could go and see Destiny's Child. Can we talk about something as well? Just a quick note. Mm-hmm. So we talked about the Supremes. We're talking about Destiny's Child. I want us to, as we dive into this more, these are groups that were pivotal to pop culture, important. worldwide. These are not, we're not just talking about groups. We are talking about groups that literally change things and the way pop culture moved.
Absolutely, because, and I think if we're still talking about Destiny's Child, they came right at the moment where there was still physical copies being sold.
Yep.
So you still had you had Black girls being put in the forefront.
Yep.
Going to these, performing everywhere at the time, wearing, they did something different. They were wearing Tina Knowles fashions on the red carpets when, I'm pretty certain people were forcing them, wanted them to wear designer clothing, but they said, no, my mom is our stylist and she's we're wearing these clothing. And there were some choices.
Yes.
There were some choices, definitely. And the girls will say that themselves this day. But it still changed the game. Like, when you think about the fact that they went from 4 to 3, it's still that power of 3. It like Michelle, I think, has been in the group longer than the original members of the group. You know what I'm saying? So Michelle Williams is Destiny's Child.
She is.
You can't take that away from her. But I want to bring up back to that number of 3. Like, a lot of our favorite girl groups, like, we can't go on without talking about TLC. 3 members. Unfortunately, when Left Eye died, it completely changed the group. They tried to make comebacks, and it don't hit the same. You know what I'm saying? Without Lisa. SWV, Vanity 6, Apollonia 6,
Jade,
Jade, The Sequence, Vanity Kane. Like, all of these groups had phenomenal success as trios. Okay, so you know where I'm going with this.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
So my girls, everybody knows I'm a Salt-N-Pepa stan. Salt-N-Pepa, yes, they started out as a duo, but they had another DJ. She was brought on, and here's where your point about outside influences can corrupt. So LaToya Hanson was brought in to be the DJ. Herbie brought her in.
So the guy brought her in
without consulting the girls, especially Cheryl Salt, who was his girlfriend at the time, who already, was side-eyeing him because he was already a skeezer. If we're going to take it back to 86, he was already out there skeezing. And, according to the movie, he had a baby on her and everything. But anyway, so that didn't work out. Salt pretty much got her kicked out of the group. Only reason we know she was in the group is because she's still on the album cover.
Yep.
However, but fast forward, they got Dee Dee, right? Yep. They got Deidre Spinderella as we know her. And honestly, things really kicked into high gear when they got Deidre. It hit different, as the kids say. It looked different. It looked good with the 3 of them, with the jackets, the kente, the spandex. It's just powerful. It took them to another level.
First of all, there's this idea of the look. And it all, when we go think back to the Supremes, right? Those 3 women on stage doing this thing in sequence, but women who represent different types of black womanhood, right? They all have a distinct look, they have a distinct role, and everybody has the one that they relate to. And Spinderella, Spin made that group. So for all intents and purposes, and we've talked about this offline, Salt-N-Pepa was a trio, kids. Like the group that we know as Salt-N-Pepa was a trio. Yes, you have Salt and you have Peppa out there today, and they are performing as Salt-N-Pepa because they are named Salt-N-Pepa. But the group that we know had 3 people in it.
Three amigos, baby. It had three girls. Like even, and I don't know if three is a magic number for everybody. Let's take En Vogue, for instance, right? They started off as a quartet.
Baby,
and they were successful and everything, but there was so much turmoil when it was four of them. Mm-hmm. But when, a certain member left, they became a trio and they've been flourishing ever since. I mean, Rona Bennett is, once again, it's funny. So when we're talking about Michelle Williams, Rona Bennett is En Vogue at this point. She's been in the group longer, way longer than all of them other girls was in the group. Like she is... Like, so when you look at En Vogue, and I wrote this at some point, I was like, when you look at En Vogue, I was like, Rona, yes, we love the quartet. We love them. Mm-hmm. You absolutely. But right now, I'm like, if we look at the group En Vogue has been a trio for like 15 years. Yeah. And they tried, bringing Dawn on board for.
And Max.
And Maxine for performances. That's right, Maxine. I almost forgot about Maxine. They tried to bring them on for performances, but for whatever reasons, things just don't work out.
Yep.
So that brings me to a question I wanted to ask you. So do you think that groups that organically form, like, your homegirls, we coming over chilling at my house, mm-hmm. and we start singing or rapping in my basement, and we become a group. Mm-hmm. Do you think those groups have a better chance than, say, groups that were formed on reality shows, like your Pussycat Dolls, like your Danity Kanes, Are You That Girl? All of those shows that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s.
I don't think I can say that those groups have more of a shot. I think what it really comes down to is, what are the expectations that are set for the groups at the beginning, and who are the people that are part of the teams that are kind of helping to do all the stuff behind the scenes? I truly think that plays a role. I think it comes down to, do the folks get along? Do they enjoy each other? Because let's go back to Destiny's Child for a second. That Michelle, Kelly, and Beyonce you could tell they like each other. You literally could tell when they are on stage together, it means so much to them. That's why Beyonce can bring them out and the crowd loses their minds, because it means as much to them that she brings them out on stage, because those is her girls.
Those are her sisters. Like the homecoming, the Beychella performance.
Yeah.
Like people lose their minds for that DC3 medley.
Yep.
Super Bowl performance, they lose their mind for a DC3 medley.
Yep.
It's just powerful.
Yep.
Even a few weeks ago, maybe like a month ago, Kelly had her most recent child, and the girls were there just chilling in the kitchen, no makeup, just hanging out, holding the baby. The internet lost it. It's because those are their girls. Those are the Black girls that they grew up with. This generation that grew up with Destiny's Child. That's who they grew up with. And they love to see that.
Yep.
And like you said, if they said tomorrow, we're about to do this tour and give you a reunion, probably be sold out within 10 seconds.
Done. And so I think, to answer your question, I really truly think it comes down to, do the folks who are in the group get along? Like, have they found a common ground? And I don't think that has anything to do with how they were formed. I think it's a matter of, what are those personalities doing what they need to do? And I'm gonna add another layer. We've Keith. So we're going to talk about male bands. Keith Richards and Mick Jagger don't get along. They haven't gotten along for a really long time, but they can tour. They're not touring now because they're like, we're definitely not doing that. No. But there was a point in time where they would go out, but they on different buses, they on different things. They're going to meet up for the rehearsal, and then they're going to meet up for the show, and that's all you getting.
And that's it.
That's it. So I do think there are some folks that we understand that this is a business arrangement, and we can make it happen. But once again, I think it really truly comes down to personalities. It comes down to motives. That's when you get into the business arrangement. And it also comes down to what are the teams doing? Are the teams working in unison? Because if the people behind the scenes are stirring that pot in a way that is pulling folks apart, it can't work. And I think when I think about, I think misogyny has a lot of influence over what ends up happening to women in groups, because I think it comes down to the way men tend to handle women that becomes the problem.
Absolutely. And it's funny. So you mentioned business, and it made me think of, and roster changes. And it made me think of one of the best moments on television, because I love this group, was in the early 2000s. I believe it was 2004. VH1 had a TV show called Bands Reunited.
Yes.
And one of the most famous all-woman funk bands out there, Klymaxx, attempted to reunite, except for one band member.
Cheryl Cooley wasn't. No.
Sure. So here's what happened. If you don't know, Klymaxx, Meeting in the Ladies' Room, Man Size Love, what's the other one? The
Men All Pause.
Phenomenal funk 80s, big hair, all women, play all their own instruments.
Yep.
They've been rocking for a very long time. So to this day, there are two versions.
Yep.
If you're a promoter and you want Klymaxx, you have to specify which one you want, because there are two versions of Klymaxx.
Yep.
There is the Cheryl Cooley brand of Klymaxx, and then there's the Bernadette Cooper brand of Klymaxx. And that all happened. You were talking about keeping goals in mind.
Yep.
Cheryl Cooley felt abandoned at the end and felt like, well, hey, since nobody else wants to be a band anymore, I'm going to purchase the rights to this name, Klymaxx, and I'm going to, because I'm a musician and I want to eat, I'm going to go out and perform as Klymaxx. However, she never considered the other ladies.
Yep.
And in lies the rub, because they were like, you didn't have any right to purchase that on your own. You weren't the creator of this group, because it's well-known Bernadette Cooper
absolutely
was the creator of Klymaxx. So and in that instance, you think about, well, was there anybody telling Cheryl Cooley what to do, or where did she get that kind of gumption to do that to the rest of the group? But it goes back to what you said about, where are we as a team, as human beings in this group, and our commonality, and do we respect each other?
And that's what I think ultimately, that I think the Klymaxx situation is actually a unique one, in that probably if I was in that whole situation, I'd be like, Cheryl, you got to call the other girls. Like first of all, you got to call the other women. When I'm saying girls, I don't mean it in that way. I'm just thinking girl groups. You got to call them up and let them know that this is, because the moment you copyright this, it changes things. You know what I'm saying? There's ownership involved. And I would advise to make that call. You know what I'm saying? But I'm also not a shrewd businessman who's like, no, grab it all and all of that.
Yeah.
But it's funny that real quick, so over there, Madam X was a group formed by Bernadette Cooper. And so I put my girl groups all around. So I have JJ Fad and all of that. But yeah, Madam X was formed by Bernadette Cooper and had one of my favorite 80s tracks, and just that type of girl. But anyway, I wished that Klymaxx episode was hard, because you had all these women, and then they brought Cheryl. Cheryl had to come in reluctantly to this experience where you have all the other members who are like, girl, why'd you do this to us?
Yeah. And it was very emotional.
It was.
You could tell that it was beyond money. It was all about a trust issue. It was like, we came up from the mud. Like we would practice for hours together. We came up in the mud, as the kids like to say, and built this group together.
Yep. And
And the fact that after all of these years together, you couldn't consider us, like, Bernadette couldn't even look at her. She didn't even want to be in the room with her. And the other ladies were in tears because even though they didn't want her to perform with them, they still reached out and hugged her because there's still a family aspect there. There was still love there. If you look at all the girl groups that have, broken up and come back together, there is still, if they weren't put on television like a Making the Band, if they were actual friends at one point, you will see that love was still there and sometimes may bring them back together. Now, what you have never seen, and I'm thinking about this now, I think about it. Well, there were no cameras during the Kentucky Fried Chicken, the KFC incident. No. But what you have never seen, if you have never seen a girl group get on a radio show and brawl, like have a literal fisticuffs like Drew Hill did. But nobody ever really talks about that like they talk about the girl groups disbanding. And here you got Drew Hill, these big grown Negroes fighting in the studio.
All the way fighting. And
they had just gotten back together that same day. And
it's once again, we come back to we come back to your original question around how society treats women, views, and this. So the dudes, so they could fight all day. They could fight, but we are not going to get on Media Takeout and on TMZ and, well, it's so-and-so's fault that this happened. And you gotta, why she must have said something or whatever. We don't do that.
Even though we do all know that Cisco is the Beyonce of Drew Hill.
Cisco is the Beyonce of Drew Hill.
Let's just be, Cisco is the Beyonce of Drew Hill.
And he made the thong song, which is remember how big that song was? As I digress.
Well, huge, very costly to them. Didn't make a lot of money, very costly, but catapulted him into iconic status. And bringing up labels, bringing that up, that it was costly to make that song, right? Phone song. The video was expensive. The somebody came in and said, "Oh, this a sample? Yeah. Oh, you're gonna pay for that." Yep. So you gotta, on the back end, that cost them money. Record labels to this day still like to use the excuse that girl groups are a headache because they're too expensive.
That's some bull.
Meaning hair, wardrobe, makeup. They're saying that it's not cost effective because they're expensive. But if we look back in the days, a lot of these, look at TLC.
Look at TLC.
Those are Hanes t-shirts that they put band-aids on. They scribble markers on them, put eye paint under their eyes. They may have had some cross-color pants that might have cost them maybe $20 a piece. But didn't no stylists come up with that. But then they turned around and made it a trend.
Right. That's why I say that's some bull, because if you just watched the Tina Turner documentary, Tina was like, baby, I was doing my hair, I was doing the choreography, I was doing the makeup, I was doing all of my own stuff. Diana Ross has talked, Shaka Khan has talked about it. Like, all of these women are really good at doing their own makeup because they didn't have nobody to do that stuff. So this idea that the women are more expensive thing, I truly, once again, it's a cop-out. I see it as misogyny showing up, because the truth is, if we allow these folks to truly do what it is that they do, because they can figure their look out, you might have somebody guiding, but they can figure this thing out. It ain't costing you no more than what these dudes have to be costing you. It ain't costing you no more. I don't believe
because today everybody has a stylist. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, let's just face it. Everything is highly stylized.
Yep.
So yes, that is a built-in cost for everybody now. So I don't think that, like you said, it is a cop-out, but I also see where, if you notice a lot, once these young ladies turn 25, that's when people start, looking like, how much longer do we have on the clock for you? And don't let them have a baby.
Oh my God. We set the society and sets this up to not work. So DJ Sir Daniel, it goes back to your original question. Is it us? And I truly do. What I keep hearing is that it is all the messed up stuff in society that we do to women impacts all, it comes into these groups. Like, it's baked in. And there is no way in the world. I will never forget watching women perform amazingly on stage. You have, I remember Vanessa Williams working through it. I remember Brandy working through it. So many women I remember working through. So it's no, what are you saying? What are you saying? It doesn't change anything.
It's so wild. One of the best performances in rap history to me on Showtime at the Apollo is when Moni Love came out pregnant. Like, she was damn near 7 to 8 months pregnant, huge, and rapping her ass off, like Moni in the middle. Where she at? And she pointed to her belly, like, right here. I'm pregnant as hell, but I'm out here rocking because I have to and because I want to.
This is what I do. This is my job. Like, I'm here. I'm gonna do they're gonna do their job just like everybody else do their job. So we do this stuff, and I don't like it. And that came up. That came up in the encore through through a couple of the women, the twins that were there, talking about age and like there's no whatever. And I'm like, baby, what does any of that stuff matter? But
see how they do it to themselves. They do it to women, do it to each other.
Yeah.
Do it. No pun intended, because we're talking about cherish, and I just said do it. But anyway, but yeah, I caught that too from the very first episode, because the young ladies, the twins, Farrah and Fawn, I believe their names. I can't remember their names specifically, but they are currently in the industry. They have currently written for artists that are out there. So I guess they feel entitled to make these opinions about what's hot and what's not. Their main criticism of a lot of the members of the house is that, I was hoping for more people under 40.
And once again, we have done, I think, a disservice. This is what we're fighting against. And hopefully for folks who are watching Q Points, listen to what we are saying. There is no reason. We are missing out on some tremendous, I know we're missing out on tremendous talent that could be phenomenal in music, as groups, as people who are able to come together and make something happen, because it will make everybody shine in more of a way. And I think we're missing out on that. And I think this is all because of I think it's misogyny, and I think it just seeps into everything.
It absolutely does. Like, and if we even go beyond just the girl groups, Black music itself, we tend to want to throw it away. We tend to want to throw anything that's older than a year or two. We've gotten to this point where it's expired, but there's just so much wealth and richness in the music that came before.
Yeah.
And those are people that have, given blood, sweat, and tears to perform for you. And I really do think that, like you said, this is why we do Q Points, is because we want to educate. We want to inform you all of these people. We want to say their names, basically, and let people know that we do revere and respect them and appreciate all that they've contributed to the culture.
Yes.
So, and before we wrap up, I would like to congratulate a Black woman here in Atlanta, and congratulate her. She's a local legend. I'm talking about none other than Melissa Alexander, also known as Phyllis Iller.
She's so dope.
She's a photographer, videographer, storyteller, and she has been tapped to create some stunning visuals for the upcoming National Museum of African American Music celebration of legends, which actually starts streaming today, same time, probably after our show. You can catch it live, and we'll put in the chat, we'll drop a link on how you can catch it. But please make sure you check that out. Check out Phyllis Iller and her work.
Yes.
You know, support a Black woman.
Yes.
If you're in the Atlanta area and you need some photography, you know, please support a Black woman and let her rock.
Yes. No, you would be making the best choice ever. Just incredibly brilliant and creative, and congratulations. I saw that I think it was this week, and I was just like, yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
Makes total sense. And yeah, keep your eye on that. There may be some surprises in there
there might be some surprises.
There might be some surprises that you see in the visuals that she's come up with. Nice. But J. Ray, you got anything else before we wrap up?
You know, I think the only thing I want to leave everybody with is one, I have a question for the folks who are watching. Who are some of your favorite girl groups? And are there any groups on the independent scene that are kind of doing things regionally? Because we all know we live in cities, and you know there's groups that are local. So are there any folks that you know of? Because we definitely want to check them out and see what's going on, because little girls and little boys need to see girl groups. I truly believe it's really, really important. Like, they need to be able to see them on stage. Little girls, folks, they need to be able to see all of this brilliance and diversity. And I do think that it is missing. I was listening to the radio this past week, and a Jade song came, so it was Don't Walk Away, and we was jamming, and when the DJ came back, he was like, oh my God, it was so great to hear Jade, because we don't have girl groups anymore. And I'm like, don't make sense.
Representation matters.
Representation matters.
Yeah. And on that note, remember, kids, in this life, you can always pick up the needle, or you can let the music play. The choice is yours. Thank you for joining us on Q Points.
Peace, everybody.